Kim and Kim, and welcome to Ask Mom's podcast. Yay!
Hi, this is Kim and Kim. Welcome to Ask Mom's podcast. We are not professionals, but we can share our experience and remind you that you're awesome. We are talking all things motherhood, the good, the tough, and everything in between. And today's episode of Ask Moms is helping kids through scary times. Before we go there, we're celebrating because we have over 1,000 views. Or listens.
Yeah, right,
listens,
yes,
right,
yeah.
On YouTube. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
For listening to us.
It so means a lot to us because we were hoping for 5.
I know. Like not 5,000, 5 people.
5 people, yes. Seriously, legit. So thanks, everybody.
And thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, and thank you for doing this with me.
No.
Aw.
We're shaking each other's arms.
Okay,
right
so
now.
we're all mushy now.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
So this is really important, and we did quite a bit of research on this one, right?
Yeah.
So, so I'll walk you back in. Today's episode of Ask Moms is helping kids, our wonderful kids, through those scary times.
This is a tough one. Of course, research indicates that after scary or upsetting news, talking to your kids helps them feel safe.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed research to prove that.
No.
That's just life, right?
Yeah.
Kids really have no control over what others are listening to or what they're watching on TV, all their tech. They're super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And even what's on the radio or what the parents are listening to, even magazine covers and the newspapers. So, these poor things.
Like everywhere they look.
Everywhere,
There's
right?
no safe space.
So, personally, I know being bombarded with all this upsetting news constantly is so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely gives me anxiety and upset. So imagine how these little ones are feeling.
Yeah.
And they pick up on our anxieties as well.
Yeah. So not only do they have their own,
Yeah.
but they pick up on ours too. Exactly, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
So fear of the dark, monsters under the bed, that was one of mine. Getting in the pool, being left alone somewhere, getting lost, right down to ice cream's too cold. Like, can you remember your own?
I actually probably the same thing. Monsters under the bed. My gosh, that was terrible.
Well, and I had an older brother that used to hide under my bed. So I'd go to get in the bed, and then all of a sudden he'd grab my ankles. I know.
Okay, that is such nightmare material.
I don't know if that's a fear or more like torture, but I sometimes still I'm weird about hopping into bed. So, and it's like 40 years later.
Something could grab your ankles.
Yeah. My math's not very good, but.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So being left alone somewhere too. That was another one. So that unpredictable feeling of being out of control or being harmed. Please take their fear sensations seriously. And as Kim mentioned, talk about it. When connecting with our child, they don't feel alone in the fear. So if you imagine like they're afraid of something and they just feel like they're all alone, like they're the only one feeling that. So they don't feel alone in the fear. And if we try to convince our child out of their fear, that really just adds self-doubt, thinking their fears aren't even relevant. And they're still afraid. So we know that as parents, this is one of the hardest things we face, helping our kids navigate through fears and uncertainty and so much of it. So again, whether it's big world events, natural disasters, or those monsters under our beds, our little ones look to us for comfort and guidance. They need to know that we acknowledge their fear. It's real, and to them it is, and that they can trust us to help them understand or work through whatever they're worried about.
Absolutely. Just a little while ago, I was speaking to a few parents, and I was asking if they had any words of wisdom, and they said, no, we can't even control our own anxieties with all the news and all the terrible things going on in the world.
Wow. So you were talking about the kids' fears?
Yeah.
Also?
I said, what do you guys do? Like, how do you help manage it when all this bad news is going on in the world? How do you help the kids?
Right.
And they said, we don't even know. They themselves are struggling, right?
So they're not noticing their kids are having probably a worse time because at some level we can rationalize it even if it's scary.
Yeah.
but to them, they just don't know.
No.
And then they start worrying about the parents
Yes.
to add to it, right?
Yes.
And I remember when a friend's father died, and it was sudden, and he was young. Like he was in his 30s.
Oh.
Like my parents were very young when they had us, like 19, 20. And I remember we were out playing, and his name was Jimmy, and he was called, I guess my mom called him and said he had to go home or something. And then my parents told us that his dad passed away. So my fear was my parents are going to pass away, right?
Yeah, that's another big fear of childhood.
Yeah. And I can't even remember what my thoughts were around that, only that I was petrified that my parents were going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I am sure all children think that, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to be on their own. So
we have to remember to talk because I'm getting caught up in my own thoughts.
yeah,
All this dead silence.
this is super important, as we can tell and see. It's not easy at all.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest route, and I know parents, if you're tired, you're overwhelmed yourself, you just don't know what to say, is to just distract the kids or avoid the conversation, right?
Right.
Sometimes you just don't have any horsepower left, and you
No.
just can't go there at that moment. And that's okay. No
Yeah.
judging. Don't go there
Yeah.
at that moment.
But don't be dismissive. Like,
No.
just say, we'll come back to that.
Exactly.
Or however you
Yeah.
talk to your kid. Yeah.
Today we've got some suggestions and ways to help support our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during these scary times, how to help them feel safe, how to talk to them about fear in age-appropriate ways, and how to empower them with coping tools. I really wish I had been empowered with coping tools when I was a kid. The first thing we want to say is that fear is normal, and it's okay for kids to feel scared.
Yes.
We all feel scared,
Yeah.
and we're all afraid.
Yeah.
And it's okay for us to acknowledge it instead of brushing it aside.
Yes. It's a good place to start. And a good place to start is to ask them about their fear. What's making them afraid? Try to get into that emotion, tap in. I mean, it could be a simple little, our minds are that much older, so we can anticipate what they're afraid of, and it could be a simple little thing. I mean, it's not simple to them, but,
It's all relative.
what are we up against? What are they afraid of,
Yeah.
right? And then you connect with them. If you ask them, what are you afraid of? What are you thinking? And you repeat their fear. They say, well, I'm afraid of, going to bed at night. And you repeat it saying, you're afraid to go to bed at night. I believe you. Something about being in the dark and your room frightens you. I believe you. So validate their feelings, and so they know that what they're feeling in their bodies is real,
Yeah.
right? We don't want our kids to feel that someone else knows how they feel better than them. Instead of saying there's nothing to be afraid of, or even worse, don't be such a baby, we can try, I see that you're feeling scared. Can you tell me a little more about that? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of? Making a connection with them and their fear also helps so they don't feel alone.
Yes. Creating that safe place, right? Whether it's a cozy bedtime routine or going for a walk or just sitting and making that time to talk, right? This is a huge difference in helping how our kids process what's happening around them. Just start with that simple question. How are you doing?
Yeah. An example of helping work through a fear. So I was listening to another podcast. And so let's take Johnny, who's afraid to go in the pool. He's excited to go swimming, but when he gets there, he's petrified and he's not going to go in the water.
Oh.
So ask him questions like, does it ever feel there's a part of you that's so excited to swim, and then there's a part of you that is thinking you're not? I have both parts of that. I have both those parts in me too, excited and worried. And it's okay to have both feelings. It's really normal. So we want them to feel comfortable when they hesitate, right?
Oh, that feels like a warm hug if
Yeah.
somebody was saying that to me.
Yeah. So sometimes that helps me. So continue to talk to them. And you can say, something that helps me is practice. And I think we mentioned this in another podcast. If there's something they're hesitant about, afraid of, or not sure of, practice it.
Yeah.
Right? So they might scoff, saying, no, that's stupid or ridiculous. But insist it's just a tool to practice. So part of the practice is to say to yourself, I am safe. I can do a little at a time. And after the swim lesson, you can walk through the success. So much happened today. You were excited, and then you felt nervous, and then I saw you in the pool. Then pause. Don't say anything. They feel so proud when they hear that narrative, right?
I like that.
I'm sorry if that was a little choppy, but it's hard to talk about something when you're feeling it at the same time. Do you find that?
Absolutely. It chokes you up.
I know. Like
Yeah.
I trip over the words or something. Anyway, so
me
sorry
too.
about that, but I hope you got that message, because I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I totally like that, and well done, Johnny. I'm going to try using that. So with older kids, honesty is really important, right? They are paying attention to knowing what is going on more than the little ones, right? And they can tell when we're stringing them a line. But it's also important on how we deliver the information, right?
Yeah.
So we can ask them, like, what do you already know and what have you heard? So you can start off by correcting any misinformation and maybe take away a bit of the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, including our leaders, we can say something like that, don't see the world in the same way as we do. And you could even say to them, what are some of your solutions on how to move forward? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Or that's a really good question. I don't know the answer. Maybe we can find out together.
Oh, yeah. In this crazy world, so many questions. And especially for teens that are just getting to figure it all out right now anyway. So many other things to think about. So throw in our world right now into the mix. So what I would suggest maybe is limit exposure to scary news, right? It's okay to turn off the TV or put away your phones when, little ears or even teen ears are around. Like, let them have the break from that, right? That noise.
Don't let them be saturated.
Yeah. And pay attention to the media around them. Don't have the news on when kids are around, maybe. Be aware of the show that's coming on after their program. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because I would never have thought of that.
No, but you can't catch a show always right when it's ending, right?
Yeah. Because sometimes they go, and then coming up next, and they start right into the
horrible stuff.
Yeah. So that was a really good point.
Yeah.
And maybe listen to music in the car instead of the news or an audio book or something. And this is a whole other podcast, but a better understanding of artificial intelligence, AI, right, would help as well. So I found a good video for parents. It's very basic AI, so you don't have to really know anything about even what it is. And it's called 10 Things for Parents to Know About AI and Education. ChatGPT is an extension of AI, and you basically type in questions and it answers you. And why I bring this up is it's important for kids to know that it's not another person at the other end answering these questions. The questions are answered from collective data, right? So it's not always completely accurate. They're just, you're just getting answers from information that's fed into a system. So it's really, really important that kids know that.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I lost my spot.
Also, if we can empower our kids with tools to handle these fears and anxieties, right? This is a wonderful life lesson. I would have so appreciated having some of these tools. So we've got, again, the breathing exercises, right? Mindfulness, drawing their feelings, or even having a worry box where they can write down and store their fears. Like just having a stuffed animal or something that they can talk to as well. Sometimes pets, the kids will talk to their cat or dog or guinea pig or bird, anything, right?
Yeah. My dog still helps me.
See?
Like if I'm upset
Yeah.
and I just sit with them and just pet them, I always feel better.
See?
Yeah.
If you can, try and find the positives in a bad situation, right? For example, if you're watching something horrible, you can say, you don't want to be watching something horrible, but what if there's a fire or something, right?
Yeah.
And instead of just being horrified, say, hey, look at those brave people and look at how they're helping.
Yes.
Wonderful. And this shows them that there are people out there who are helping and that maybe we can help too. Maybe we can help afterwards, something like that, right?
and distract them from the fear of the
Yes.
fire.
Yes. Yeah.
Good point, Kim.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And let's not forget routines. So predictability helps kids feel safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you know, I've got at this time, I'm going to get ready for bed at this time. And so build a routine. It's a comfort. And sticking to bedtime, rituals, meal schedules, and family traditions can give them a sense of stability, even when the world feels uncertain. I was just thinking about, like, I know it's not always possible to stick, but if the normal is having that routine, and every once in a while, you go out to McD's or something, that's fine. But it's the feeling that, I'm going to get up, I'm going to have my shot, like that routine.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good point that you brought up there, Kim.
Comfort and continuity, right?
And when you feel your schedule's off, right?
Oh, yeah, you're off. Modeling calmness ourselves, taking those deep breaths, staying positive, trying to find the positive spin on a situation. That also helps our kids learn how to self-regulate too, right? Mm-hmm. So they learn by watching and listening to us.
I heard something online about breathing for kids. You might have a better one, but it was something like, when you breathe in, it's like you're breathing in to fill up a box, right? And then when you breathe out, you're breathing through a straw. So you're like breathing out through a straw. And so that helps them to kind of relax when they're anxious or whatever. Yeah.
Also, finding those things in the immediate area, right? So we can, where you are. There's like a black microphone, a pink guitar, there's a clock. It kind of helps bring you down and calms you down too.
Yeah. Distraction. So at the end of the day, our kids really don't need us to have all the answers, right? They just need to know that we're here. We love them. Oh, we love them. Mm-hmm. And we will help them through anything. It's showing them they're important and their concerns are important, and you're there to listen and you care.
Absolutely. And no, we do not have all the answers. My gosh. As undesirable as this might be, having those difficult conversations with our kids gives us a really great opportunity for those important life discussions, right? About the world. You've got to be careful that you don't negatively define groups. Don't let your own thoughts and views about politics sully the waters.
Your prejudices.
Right, yeah. So you've got to try and stay really neutral. So only label the conducts of behavior or the conduct or behavior. Mm-hmm. And for the young kids, focus on any positive acts and what the plans are to avoid this kind of thing happening again in the future.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this when we were writing, and there's a lot of information in here. So we broke it down into like 3 hints, let's say. So we don't want to convince our child out of fear because, like it's nothing, you're okay. Mm-hmm. We might, we think it might be making them feel better, but we're actually teaching them to doubt feelings and perceptions.
Exactly.
So, tell them, I believe you. Repeat the fear, I believe you, and tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
right?
Your concerns are valid. We hear you.
Yeah. And then number 2 was surprise. Speak to this violation and expectations and offer suggestions to be proactive before. So if they have a fear of ants that just show up out of nowhere, like, oh my God, these ants are here. Not the uncles, just the ants.
That's right.
No, fear of ants. And it's kind of common up here. Like,
We've got a lot of ants.
Yeah, we have ants. So, and kids wake up and they don't expect to see them, walk in the room, don't expect to see them, so they get frightened. So perhaps have a spray bottle with non-toxic ant deterrent.
Good idea.
Just nothing toxic. Mm-hmm. So when the child sees the ants, they can spray them versus being afraid of them. They might still be a little afraid of them, but at least they're kind of taking control.
I like that.
And then the third hint was infuse your presence. Ask detailed questions. This helps your child feel your support in the fear, which makes the child less alone and more able to tolerate uncomfortable feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what are you afraid of, honey?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting choked up again here.
I know. I think this is what happens when we have this podcast. Talking through the material,
Yeah.
you start feeling it, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And sometimes I kind of remember back
Mm-hmm.
to when my son's little, and you can kind of apply it. And sometimes I'm thinking, geez, I wish I knew this before.
Absolutely. That's
Right.
why we're trying to help you guys.
Yeah.
So give you the tools that'll help you
Yeah.
that we wish we had
Yeah.
had.
And it's our experience, but we're also researching.
Uh-huh.
So we're trying to be,
Oh, yeah.
when it comes to medical stuff, go to your doctor, not us.
Yeah, no.
Don't listen to us.
Do give yourselves grace, right? You're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
When you talk to your kids, they may initially be reluctant to share their feelings and concerns. Just let them know that you're here when they're ready. Try to set up those times and go for a walk, and then eventually they might open up. I really hope they do.
Yeah.
So parents, you really are doing an amazing job. This is not easy. You're awesome. And we just wanted to help you with some hints for this important and very challenging part of being a parent.
Yeah.
And if you found this episode helpful, which we hope you did, share it with a friend and let's support each other on this journey.
Yes. We hope we've given you some ideas to help you with these difficult but important conversations. Google it too. If there's a situation, you can go to Google and say, how do I help my kid with monsters under the bed or something, right? We hope you feel heard, supported, and empowered. We know you do your best. We say that often. We know you do your best.
Yeah.
And please remember that you're not alone. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us at askmomstoday@gmail.com, or please leave a comment below. And remember, you're not alone. You've got this.